Have you ever been asked in the IELTS speaking test about a gift you remember, your first phone, or even a dream you had? In this lesson, we're covering a Part 1 theme called Remembering Things. This video is inspired by one of our viewers on YouTube who recently took the test and asked us to make a video about remember. These questions go beyond the usual memory questions. They can cover gifts, experiences, dreams, or things from daily life. In this video, we'll show you two sets of model answers, one from Joseph and one from Ivana, so you can see how to answer these questions using specific details and personal experiences. Let's start with Joseph first.
Do you remember a gift you received in the past?
Yes, I do. On my 18th birthday, my friends surprised me with a hoodie from my favorite football team. It wasn't expensive, but it really stood out because it showed they paid attention to what I liked, and I still smile when I think about it.
Do you remember your first mobile phone?
Definitely. I got my first smartphone when I was around 13. It was a simple Android model, but having my own phone felt like a big deal. I mostly used it for texting friends and playing small games, and I still remember that excitement clearly.
What do you remember about learning languages at school?
I remember learning English at school. Grammar lessons could be a bit dull, but I really enjoyed group activities and presentations. Those moments stick with me because they made learning more interactive and helped me actually use the language.
Can you remember a teacher who influenced you?
Yes, my high school math teacher had a big impact on me. He made a subject that I used to find really intimidating feel much more approachable by explaining concepts clearly and encouraging us to solve problems step by step. I still remember some of his lessons because they taught me that with patience and practice, I can tackle even difficult challenges.
Can you usually remember your dreams after waking up?
Not often. Most dreams fade quickly, but occasionally I have very vivid ones. For example, I once dreamt I missed an important exam, and I remember it clearly because it felt so stressful, almost like it was real.
Do you often remember ads you've seen?
Not really. Most ads fade from memory, but there's one I can't forget. An ad for another show that plays every time I listen to my favorite podcast. Since I listen to it almost daily, it's stuck in my head, and I actually find myself humming the jingle sometimes.
Is it easy for you to remember people's names?
Yes, it's usually fine. I don't meet a huge number of new people every day, so remembering names isn't difficult. If I do meet someone new, I try to connect their name with something familiar, which helps me remember it easily.
What kinds of numbers do you need to remember in your daily life?
Mostly phone numbers and passwords. I rely on my phone for almost everything, but I still memorize a few key numbers, like my parents' contacts. It's useful to have them in mind in case my phone isn't handy.
How do you usually try to remember important things?
I usually set reminders on my phone, and for urgent tasks, I also jot them down in a notebook. Combining both methods works best for me, and I find it reduces stress because I'm less likely to forget something important.
Do you find it easier to remember things from childhood or from recent years?
I'd say childhood memories are easier to recall. For instance, I can still picture my first day at secondary school vividly. Recent events sometimes blur together unless something really significant happened, which is why childhood memories feel more distinct.
That was Joseph's set of answers. Notice how Joseph answers each question directly and often adds specific examples from his own life. He doesn't just say yes or no. He usually includes details about who was involved, what happened, when it happened, and why it mattered. Not every answer has all four elements, but you can see how adding even some of these details makes the answer more vivid and easy to follow. This shows you how to use personal experiences to make your Part 1 answers clear and engaging. Now let's hear a slightly different style of answers from Ivana. Do you remember a gift you received in the past?
Yes, I remember a particular gift quite vividly. When I was about 10 years old, my grandmother gave me a beautiful hardcover copy of The Secret Garden. It wasn't just a book, it was a special edition with lovely illustrations. I loved that story so much, and the book itself felt like a treasure. It's one of the few childhood gifts that I still have today, and it holds a lot of sentimental value.
Do you remember your first mobile phone?
Yes, I remember it so well. My parents gave me a Samsung phone right before I started at boarding school when I was about 13. It was a big deal because it was a way for them to stay in touch, especially since I was living away from home for the first time. I used to spend hours on it, texting my friends back home and taking a ton of pictures. It was my lifeline to the outside world.
What do you remember about learning languages at school?
I remember it being a lot of fun, honestly. I took Spanish in high school. We spent a lot of time on flashcards and repeating words and phrases. My teacher was pretty cool, so she'd make it into games and we'd listen to Spanish music. The hardest part for me was trying to get the pronunciation right and not being afraid to just speak, even if I messed up. It's funny because now I wish I'd paid more attention.
Can you remember a teacher who influenced you?
Yes, my high school art teacher, she was a super down-to-earth person who always saw potential in everyone. I was pretty shy and would get stressed about my art not being perfect, but she taught me to let go of that. She showed me that art is about expressing yourself and that every mistake can be a part of the piece. She really helped me build my confidence, not just in art, but in other areas of my life too.
Can you usually remember your dreams after waking up?
Not really, unfortunately. I know I dream because sometimes I wake up feeling a certain way, like anxious or really happy, but I can almost never remember the actual details of the dream. It's like my brain just deletes it right as I wake up. I've heard that if you write them down right away, you can remember them, but I'm never that organized in the mornings.
Do you often remember ads you've seen?
Some, but not a ton. The ones that stick with me are the really funny or clever ones, or commercials that have a great song. There was this one car commercial a few years ago that had a really catchy indie song. I ended up looking it up and adding it to my playlist. I think if an ad can make me feel something or laugh, I'm more likely to remember the brand.
Is it easy for you to remember people's names?
Ugh, no, it's so embarrassing, but I'm terrible with names. I can remember what someone told me about their life, what they were wearing, and even where we met, but their name just slips my mind immediately. I usually have to make a conscious effort to say their name a couple of times right after they introduce themselves to make it stick.
What kinds of numbers do you need to remember in your daily life?
Mainly my credit card PIN, my phone number, and various passwords and logins. I use a password manager for a lot of things, so that helps a ton. Other than that, I use my phone's calendar to remember dates and appointments, so I don't really have to keep track of a lot of numbers in my head.
How do you usually try to remember important things?
I'm a big list person. I'll write things down in the Notes app on my phone as soon as I think of them. I'll also set reminders or calendar alerts for big things, especially for work or important appointments. I've found that if I don't write it down, it's pretty much guaranteed to be forgotten.
Do you find it easier to remember things from childhood or from recent years?
I'd say it's easier to remember things from recent years. My childhood memories feel more like snapshots or little clips from a movie, and they're not always in a clear order. But things from the last few years are much more vivid, I think. As you get older, you just start to create stronger memories because you're more aware and present in the moment.
That was Ivana's set of answers. Ivana often adds reflections and anecdotes like the secret garden or her boarding school phone experience. She frequently includes details about who, what, when, and why. Though some answers focus on only a few of these elements, both Joseph and Ivana show that including personal details makes answers clear, relatable, and easy to follow. Alright, that wraps up our lesson on remembering things. If you enjoyed this lesson, like and subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments which topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Keep practicing your answers, and we'll see you in the next video.